A lot of people have been talking about tinctures and how they don't seem that impressive in PoE 3.25 because they're just not that much better than a flask. But then this Reddit post popped up. This was linked to me in chat and it's by someone called Keyenn. And I read through this. It absolutely blew my mind. It is a long post. I will link it in the description. Just hang on. I'm going to try and do a TLDR explaining this, and there's going to be a moment where it just clicks and you get it and you are going to realize tinctures on the Warden are insanely good this league. So let's just go over quickly how tinctures work. Firstly, so when you activate a tincture, you get a stack of mana burn every X number of seconds. I believe the default is every 0.7 seconds. And then mana burn causes you to lose 1% of your maximum mana. That's not including your unreserved, it's like your maximum. So if you have 1,000 mana, it's gonna take 10 a second. So mana burn causes you to lose 1% of your maximum mana per stack per second. So a lot of people are looking at this and like, there's no way you'd really be able to sustain this realistically. You're not gonna have very good uptime on your tinctures. And it's like not really worth it. But then Keyenn comes in and he has some tech that he wants to explain. So let's quickly hop over to the POB that he provided and just talk about the Warden Enduring Suffusion. So tincture effects linger on you for 0.5 seconds per mana burn on you when the tincture was deactivated, up to a maximum of 6 seconds. So this implies if we can get 12 mana burn stacks, then after the tincture goes off, it'll keep going, keep functioning for another 6 seconds. So with this in mind, we almost have a goal of like 12 stacks. All right, 12 stacks. Now, there is also this mastery over here, this tincture mastery here. Tinctures deactivate when you have 12 or more mana burn. So these are very clearly linked to one another. So just remember that 12 mana burn, if we hit 12 mana burn, we get 6 seconds of free tincture. But it gets more interesting. There is this tincture mastery. The first 6 mana burn applied to you have no effect. I know it's a lot of moving parts, but it will make sense. So what does this mean? If we can reach this 12 mana burn, then we will get 6 seconds of free tincture. So what his post basically goes into is that we are thinking about mana burn in a backwards way. So your gut instinct, when you see mana burn, you inflict 1 mana burn every 0.7 seconds. You would think, okay, well, now we need to figure out a way to get mana burn every 2 seconds would be better, right? You look at that, you say, no, it would be way better if we only get that 1 mana burn stack every 2 seconds, because then we're burning less mana. His theory, and it makes so much sense. Tell me in the comments when it clicks for you. If we can get to 12 stacks, we get 6 seconds of free tincture. So what does that mean? We want to get to 12 stacks of mana burn as quickly as possible, not as slowly as possible, but as quickly, because this 12 is like a finish line. Once you cross that finish line, you get 6 seconds of free tincture from Enduring Suffusion. So what do we actually want to do? We don't want to slow it down. We want to speed up our mana burn rate. And we have this potent poisonberry tincture of Ire over here. 35% increased effect, great, but it has the downside. It looks like a downside. 64% increased mana burn rate. So this means we are getting a mana burn stack every 0.43 seconds. Remember, 12 is the finish line. We want to get to 12 as quickly as possible. So we want to make the mana burn rate faster. So that is the moment that it flipped for me, where I realized we need to hit that 12. When we hit that 12, we get the free 6 seconds. So we want to get as much mana burn as quickly as possible. So how do we do this? Well, there's a few things that we can talk about. Firstly, one way we can get to that 12 faster is to inflict mana burn more often, or what we can do is inflict more mana burn stacks every time we inflict a mana burn stack. You can have an additional tincture active. So now, is it starting to make sense? We need to get to 12 as quickly as possible. If we can have an additional tincture, this means we are now getting, let's say, 2 mana burn stacks every 0.43 seconds. We're gonna reach that finishing line way faster if we have 2 tinctures instead of just 1. And remember, when we cross the finish line, we get 6 seconds of free tincture. Still following? Hopefully this is all making sense. So another thing we need to mention is this practiced reapplication is 25% increased cooldown recovery rate of tinctures. So if we look at the prismatic tincture, you can see there is an 8-second cooldown when deactivated. And over here, we have 6-second cooldown when deactivated. So if we can take an 8-second and reduce it by 25%, well, are you starting to see the infinite uptime? So with practiced reapplication, 25% increased tincture cooldown rate, 6 seconds. Does that line up in a coincidental way with Enduring Suffusion? 12 stacks gives us 6 seconds of free tincture usage, and they last for 6 seconds. Infinite tinctures. It's not 100% like that, because when we reach the 12th stack, we don't actually get the stack count, so it's actually 6.4 seconds. But this and this and this all together, so with practice reapplication, we're getting that 6.4 second cooldown time. But then another very important thing. So you might be thinking, well, 12 stacks of mana burn, even if we can hit that finish line before we run out of mana, it's not going to be that easy, because that's burning a lot of mana. However, the first 6 mana burn applied to you have no effect, and that's from this tincture mastery. So the way a lot of us were thinking about this was that we would get like 1% mana burn per second, and then you get another mana burn and it's 2% mana burn per second, and then another mana burn and it's 3 per second. I don't believe it works like that. Instead, it works in a stack form. So you'll have like a mana burn. So imagine we have like a debuff on the top right, and it looks something like this, and it's a mana burn icon, and it's over here. I meant top left. We've got this little mana burn. And then every X number of seconds, which we've established that we can affect how quickly we get a stack, we get like 1 mana burn stack. And then it's like 2 mana burn stacks. And it's 3 mana burn stacks, 4 mana burn stacks, 5 mana burn stacks. Each one of these individually is burning 1% mana per second. When we reach 7, now we are going to start burning mana. But the first 1 to 6 mana burn stacks, like this says, do nothing. They have no effect. So it's not that we reach suddenly 7 and now we're burning 7%. This is just the 7th stack, and the 7th stack, just like every stack before it, only burns 1 mana per second. So we have this safe period of 1 to 6 stacks of mana burn where we're not burning any mana. Then from 7 until 11 stacks, we will be burning our mana. And then when we hit 12, we reach that goal. And because of the mastery up here, tinctures deactivate when you have 12 or more mana burn. Our tincture turns off, and then Enduring Suffusion hits. So we will have 12 stacks and we get 0.5 seconds per mana burn, 6 seconds. And then for 6 seconds, we have free tincture that keeps running. And then 6 seconds later, we have our tincture up again. Is this making sense? So his post goes into great detail. It's genuinely one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen on this Reddit. Normally this place is a bit of a hellhole, but this explains it so beautifully. So what he is saying is we actually want to accelerate the mana burn. This is just for Warden, by the way, if it wasn't clear. Other classes, I don't know. We want to accelerate that mana burn to hit that 12 stacks as quickly as possible to get the free 6 seconds. And there's, yeah, we can either, increase the rate that we're getting mana burn stacks, increase the number of mana burn stacks that we are getting. But why? All of this, why? Is a tincture really that good? Do I really want to use this? Well, let's look at some examples that he has provided. Keyenn says, this is one of the ones on the PoE site that we can see, and we can see 27% chance to poison with melee weapons, 94% increased damage with poison from melee weapons, and then the effect, 35% increased effect, plus 24% to melee weapon critical strike multiplier. Now, another thing I didn't mention, we can get up to 96% increase tincture effect on the tree, 96%. And then we can also get increased effect on the tincture itself. So he has done some maths here. This could give us 231% increased poison damage. The flask can have up to 100% damage increase in the presentation, and 55% crit multi. Yummy for perfect agony. Assuming you are a poison build with 450% increased damage and 400% crit multi before the tincture, of course, this tincture is alone a 61% more damage. And this is just the trash random tincture we've seen. These mods could go higher, required level 45. And then over here we have another example. 127% increased critical strike chance with melee weapons and increased attack speed. You multiply this, 293% increased critical strike chance, 39% increased attack speed. And there's also this over here, where we have melee weapon damage penetrates 11% of enemy elemental resistances, and then some bleed implicit. You're hopefully starting to see how strong this could be if you have 2 tinctures and increased effect. But now he does go on to say, is it all rainbows? Of course there are upsides and downsides to this. We can get a lot out of our tinctures, but it does mean we might need to invest more points on the tree. These are the ones he recommends. He also has an infinite uptime with flasks with a few other points. You can read it in the Reddit post. Of course, then we would need to take 2 ascendancy points if we go all in on tinctures, which would mean, you have to either drop Oath of Spring, which is really good, or Bark Skin, or Oath of Summer, or something. There is sacrifice to it. It is free. And of course, you are going to have to push those buttons to activate your tinctures. They're not going to be automated. I wish they would add a mastery that automates them. That would be fantastic. But yeah, some people won't like having to pay attention to their uptime on their tinctures. But this post has really made me realize how good tinctures were. I already thought they were good, but this post blew my mind. And I hope that it has made you think differently about tinctures on the Warden. Let me know what you think. This post will be linked in the description if you want to go into all the nerdy maths. It's super fun read. This guy is an excellent writer, so it's great, and it'll be linked in the description. So big thank you to Keyenn. He also popped on stream today to help explain a bit more. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. You think tinctures on Warden are still just meh, or are you starting to believe? Because I know I am. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe. Catch you in the next video and on stream. Bye-bye. Bye.